Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. So, we finally have a conclusion to the epic adventure that happened a couple of days ago that they told us explicitly, come back tomorrow for part 2. I came back tomorrow for part 2 and there was nothing there. They didn't upload because it was Monday, it was their day off. Now Chris knows this, why did he say come back for part 2? Anyway, part 2 finally happened, and it was Crashed and Stranded in the Arctic, part 2. Now, a couple of things there, Chris. First up, without spoiling it for everybody, firstly, you didn't crash, and secondly, you weren't stranded, so I'm not quite sure where you're getting that from. Maybe it's this clever marketing that you're on about, but for me, it's a no, right? A hard no. So, before we get into this video, I want to draw your attention to this petition that I have created. Quite a few of you have already signed it, but not enough, right? I happen to know that there are 10,000 of you, right? 10,000, I know it doesn't always mean anything, right? But there are 10,000 of you who have not yet signed. So get on your little iPads or your phone or your computer or whatever, go and sign the petition, get it trending, get it viral, and try and affect some change, please. The link is in the description box below, so have a go at that, and that would be fabulous. I'll appreciate it. Thank you so much. Right, let's get on with the show. Without further ado, let's see what these idiots got up to in part 2. So this is the previous day, in case you didn't know. So they're going to give like a recap on what actually happened. I hope it's going to be a short recap because we've already seen it and everything.
Alright, so this night is just getting worse and worse and worse. So the guys here, they're absolutely lovely. They tried to pull the van out using a winch, a 7.5 ton van, using a winch, pulling it sideways on one of the rear wheels, which didn't work, obviously.
With the handbrake on.
With the handbrake on, which wasn't good. So that failed. So at that point they said to us, okay, there's nothing we can do. We're leaving you in the middle of nowhere, basically. So I'm like, what are you talking about, leaving us in the middle of nowhere?
They gave us a number though.
Yes, Chris, they're going to leave you in the middle of nowhere. Personally, I would leave you in the middle of nowhere. Let's be real here, Chris. They probably did all that they could, and then they heard you say, oh, but I'm famous. And then they Googled you and saw why you were famous and thought, right, let's just leave him, right? Best off out of there.
They gave us a number to call a tow truck who basically is like a heavy duty tow truck who'll be able to sort it out. So I was like, well, you can't leave us here with all the kids and a baby in the middle of nowhere. Like, it's -10 right now. And
Chris, I didn't point this out the other day, so I will now. Why is it -10? Why you keep saying it's -10? Just say -10, right? Be like the rest of us. -10. -10 makes you sound like you're trying to be something you're not, right? It sounds like it's something that you've picked up through watching lots of like van life videos or something like that, and you thought, yeah, that sounds cool. I'll be one of the cool kids, and I'll say -10. It's just -10. That's what isn't that what we all say? Or am I don't know. Maybe it's just me.
The van, although the engine's running, etc., and it's warmish, it's, you know, it's dangerous as hell. We're on the side of a road. It's you know. Alright, so
it's the most stressful day of my whole
literally,
life.
this is just not good. So basically they're trying one more manoeuvre to try and pull it out from the front. They tried to pull it out from the back, it didn't work. They've managed to get a tow hook on the front, so they're trying with a winch now to pull it out from the front. It has just moved, so they're repositioning, they're just doing it little bit by little bit. But if this doesn't work, then they're basically leaving us in the middle of nowhere.
And it's going to be 7 hours before anybody.
So basically Sarah and these guys are going to go with the fire guys, if this doesn't work, to the city that's near. It's not near, it's 50 kilometres away. And they'll check into a hotel, and I'll be staying here with the van until a big tow truck thing can come. However accurate that is, I don't know. He's stopped responding to me as well, so God knows what that's about. So I'm just really hoping that this works now. Really, really hoping that this works. Really hoping this works.
So, yeah, he actually placed the last 2.5 minutes of the last vlog at the beginning of this vlog. I have no idea why, right? I don't know. Just recap what happened if that's what the vibe you were going with, but to do such a long... No, it was just boring, right? It was unnecessary. We didn't need it, so why?
Wow, so that's the trench. We got so lucky because what we went into was pure snow, no ground, nothing hard, nothing solid, and we're out, we're free. Oh man, you see the single track on the road? It's terrible, man. The road is bad here.
Guys, I kid you not, the snow was up to here. It was literally in this grey bit. That's how deep it was.
I think you'll find it wasn't deep, Sarah. It was because your van was on a slant, so it kind of got, you know how it works, right? And I think you understand, right? The van is slanted, so it gets up to the snow a bit quicker. It doesn't make the snow any deeper, if you know what I mean. I know what I mean. Get over it.
Oh, the slips out the van. Oh my, very embarrassed. That's not the first time today. Tell you what though, babe.
The wheels are looking brand new.
shiny the wheels are.
Yeah.
Right, we're going to explain properly what happened when we get into this restaurant.
Okay, so I'm a little bit confused, right? You're going to go into this restaurant and you're going to tell us what happened. You know, we already know what happened, by the way, because we watched the vlog, so we do know. But you're going to tell... But I thought this was tomorrow, because at the beginning of the vlog, you said previous day, right? Previous day, meaning that this vlog is set in the future, the next day, and you were recapping what happened the previous day, but unless you're going to go, I don't know, it's a bit confusing.
We weren't actually planning on stopping here tonight, but the officer...
This is the town where the fire brigade came from.
Yeah, this is how the fire brigade came from, and the fire brigade advised us to stop here tonight because they said the roads tonight are
The next road onto Norway is extremely bad tonight.
No, not extremely. I wasn't looking for that word.
So the fire people suggest don't drive on the roads because they're too dangerous, but weren't you already on the road when it became dangerous, when it was already dangerous? Did you not think to look that information up prior to you doing this whole thing and, you know, going through this whole rigmarole? It was, you know, you would think, you being the experienced travel vloggers, you know, who has driven in the Scandinavian snow all of once before, you know, that experience that you've had, that you would know to look up how the roads are on a daily basis, whether they're safe or what's happening with them. You'd think you would know that, but clearly not.
Exponentially, no.
Well,
That's not the one either.
Just extremely good.
Yeah. Extraordinarily. No, that's not the one. They're really bad tonight. They're extreme. No. What's the word I'm looking for? I never find the word. It's so annoying.
What you said first time's fine.
I know it's fine, but that's not the word I'm trying to say.
I'm not going to lie, Sarah, but if you find any word that's more complex than extremely for your brain, I'd be very surprised, right? Extremely is quite a long word for you, so just stick with that. It was fine anyway. I don't know what the word is you're looking for, you know. It seems like you're trying to pick out I was going to say a rabbit out of a hat. I don't know. I was imagining in her brain as a hat. pull a rabbit out. I don't know, right? So, yeah, Sarah's trying to come up with something that she doesn't know, which it doesn't come as a big surprise to anybody because she's not the smartest tool in the shed, is she?
And it's really annoying when that happens. Anyway, yeah, the roads are really bad tonight, so to stop at this town and set back off tomorrow morning, so that's what we're doing. Found a little pizza restaurant. We've not had enough pizza this week.
Can we just say, there is not a scratch on the van. Not one. Anywhere.
So relieved.
The only thing we need to replace tomorrow is the sticky pads that hold the front number plate on.
Yeah.
Well, you may need to replace your car seats. I'm not too sure, your child car seats that is, by the way. There is some speculation here as to whether you have to replace them even after a minor accident. So because you can't always tell if your car seats are like damaged or anything like that, as you can see by this little excerpt, after an accident has taken place, the seat should be replaced with a new one at all times. Even if it looks fine to the eye, you can never be sure that the structure was not affected by the impact. Even micro cracks, which are not visible at first glance, are dangerous and disqualify the seat from further use. So there you have it. It's a good idea to replace car seats after a crash. I don't know if it's law or not law, okay, so I'm not an expert. This is just what I'm getting from research.
That's it.
Yeah, that's the only thing.
That's the only thing. So lucky.
And that's why we're celebrating with another dinner out. Right guys, I'm just quickly going to explain what's happened today because we've obviously not filmed anything. And
what do you mean you've not filmed anything? You filmed an entire like accident, and you know that you had an entire vlog on what you filmed, and we watched an entire vlog. In fact, you split it over to 2 vlogs. You must have filmed a great deal.
Are you holding her? Okay, is he's going to hold that Aurora? Right, I'm really quickly going to do a quick rundown of what happened. If you feel like you need to interrupt me, feel free. So we're driving down this road today, and this has happened a few times. There's been really big snowbanks on the side of the road, and these snowbanks, if your tyre gets into one, it kind of sucks you into it. So we've been avoiding them, obviously, this whole trip. Now, this road we're on today was like 150, whatever I said before, kilometres long. And it's a straight road, so it's literally the most beautiful, insane road you've ever seen. We were planning on stopping to get the drone out. It was gorgeous.
Aurora was asleep.
I was about to say, we just hadn't stopped yet because Aurora was asleep. It was just a beautiful, beautiful road. We absolutely loved it. So we're just driving along, and suddenly the road gets extremely narrow. Like it went from like a 2-lane to a 1-lane, but really quickly, because a massive snow mound for quite far down came on our side of the road. Now, like I just said, it's a straight road ahead. You can see miles ahead of you, so it wasn't unsafe for us to move over to the other side of the road. We had no choice anyway. There was snow like a couple of foot deep in the middle of the road, so we couldn't go through that, obviously. So we pulled over into the next lane, but we didn't realise, probably that would have been okay for a car to do that, but because we're in the big van and it's so wide, as soon as we pulled over, it automatically got the tyres from the snowbanks on the other side of the road. So straight away, as soon as we pulled over to the other side of the road, it got the tyres, sucked us in. That's basically what happened.
As much as this road is a straight road, where this snowbank was, it was not, like, the road's a straight road, but it has corners, obviously, but like long, sweeping
small corners, yeah.
A very, very long straight road with corners. Doesn't get much better than this. I love this storytelling, isn't it? The way they try to cover their tracks all the time.
When we came out of a long sweeping right-hand corner is where the snowbank was on our side of the road.
Yeah, we just come out of it, yeah.
At normal driving speed on there, which we were only doing 38 miles an hour.
Okay, so if you're doing 38 miles per hour, I would definitely get your car seats changed, because I read that, you know, it can depend on the speed at the collision and everything. So possibly better off doing that rather than not, because if you have another accident, your kids may not be as fortunate.
Ish.
What do you know the limit is on that? It's 60?
Yeah, it'd be 60 definitely. But anyway, 38 miles an hour is easy doable. 50 miles an hour is doable in those conditions. But we were doing 38.
Just because it was very slippy today. It was very snowy and icy, like the guy said before. So if we'd have been going faster, or at the speed limit much faster, we would definitely have rolled the van today.
Anyway,
100%.
when we came around the long corner, that's where my lane was blocked with snow.
Yeah.
So I changed over, but as I changed over, there was a lot of snow in the other lane as well, and it just grabbed one of the rear.
Quick question for you, Christopher. Why did you feel the need to put this in a second vlog, right? Because it's obviously the same day, right? And you could have easily tagged this onto the last vlog instead of shortening the last one and spreading it out to 2, like to make it so exciting. Come back for part 2 to see if we got out of the situation or not. When it was very, it's kind of anticlimactic. I mean, you know what that's like, Chris. Anticlimax. It was just like watching like EastEnders, you know. You get all hyped up for a duff moment, and then the next episode is like, yeah, shit. And that's what yours is like right now.
Tires.
Yeah.
Pulled us in as much as I anticipated it. We were done. Like it was taking us. And I was just at that point. I was like, oh, it's got us.
And you was actually saying, it's got us.
And then I was just praying that we were not going to.
And then as we were stopping, then we stopped, but then we started sinking, and we didn't know where the ditch ended. So we were like, please don't roll, please don't roll, please don't roll, please don't roll.
And then
Luckily, it stopped rolling, and we were okay. So then we called the emergency services. A lady actually pulled over and said, do you need help? That was before we'd called anyone. That was like straight away, wasn't it?
As I was picking up my phone to call.
Yeah, and we said, and she advised that we called the emergency services. Now, I just want to be sure, because I know everyone's going to pick up on every single word I'm saying and try and pick something out like we've done something wrong or something. So it isn't the equivalent to 999. We weren't in immediate threat, danger, 999 style.
So why the hell did you call 911, Sarah? 911, any recollection? In fact, let's replay that just to make sure that I heard it correctly.
911 emergency.
It was definitely 911, wasn't it? Emergency, in actual fact. So are you saying that you lied? You never lied. Chris never lied, did he? He never actually added that. That was a real life phone call, everybody. Bloody hell. The problem here, Sarah, is that you are what is essentially the same vlog, right? The same day. You are then retracting what Chris is actually saying happened. It doesn't make you sound or look very competent, does it? You know? Stick to one story and that'll be fine.
It was the equivalent to like 111 in the UK, right? 101. Sorry, 101. So we called them, and that's who came out. So it was the fire brigade and the police. Obviously, we told them we didn't need an ambulance or anything like that because nobody was hurt. Thankfully, everyone was sat down where they should have been in the seats with the seatbelts on.
What an odd thing to say, Sarah. Thankfully, everybody was sat down in their seats with their seatbelts on where they should be, right? But, you know, isn't that kind of as read? You should be like that anyway, and you'd expect them to be. You don't need to point that out to us because we'd expect that to be the case anyway. Or is that an admission that possibly that's not always the case and your kids do from time to time maybe get up and walk around, stretch their legs, possibly even go and sit down, have a lie down or something? I don't know. I'm just speculating. I don't know for certain. But I would say that your kids should be sat down with their seatbelts on at all times. At all times. It doesn't matter if they want to get up to get a drink or something like that.
So then they got that.
Obviously, at the same time, we called our breakdown as well. Our breakdown, we've got recovery and accident for Europe, basically. So
the RAC.
So they said, okay, wait till the fire brigade get there.
Still loving the fact that a few short weeks ago this would never have been the case. You know, if you'd not gone back to get your MOT sorted out, and you know. Still baffles me why this was even a thing, that you had to go home from Sweden just to get your MOT sorted out and then return. It's just baffling. But if you hadn't done that, obviously, then your insurance would have been void.
I'll call you when the fire brigade gets there because they liaise with each other, and then we'll, depending on what the fire brigade say, we'll make a plan.
Yeah.
Whether we need a tow truck or whether the fire brigade can get you out.
Yeah.
Luckily, eventually the fire brigade got us out.
Right,
But they were not gonna.
No, they weren't gonna. Literally in the smallest town right now, everybody is watching my vlog right now. So, I don't understand this. Now, I am not saying that I'm right and they're wrong, because that is absolutely not the case. They are more, they know what they're doing, I don't.
No, Sarah, you know what you're doing. You are quite the firefighter yourself, you know. Don't put yourself down. You like to point out, you're quite modest in varying degrees. You know, there's this occasion, and then there was the occasion at the hospital where you also made the claim that you weren't an expert.
So maybe I just need educating.
Well, yes, you do need educating, Sarah, but in firefighting or in tow trucking, anything, what the fuck's she on about, seriously?
So they didn't want to use the tow bar on the van, like at the rear. And what they wanted to do instead, I need to like draw, because it's hard to explain. They were like parallel. We were parallel to the road, pretty much. They were parallel on the opposite side of the road, and both of the cabins were in line. So the driver's sides were both in line, but they were on the opposite side of the road, kind of thing. It's hard to explain. What they wanted to do was use the winch that was on the front winch. So they wanted.
Oh dear, Sarah, I don't think that was a correct use of the English language, was it? Calling yourself a wench, I know. What does it mean to call someone a wench? Wench comes from the Middle English and was a common word for girl, child or servant. Over time it came to mean mainly serving girls, as in a bar wench who serves drinks at a tavern. Eventually it came to mean prostitute. Oh, no. I don't make these things up, alright? This is the history of the word. Just saying, right, Sarah. Just
to use the winch that was on the front of their truck onto the. Look, I've got to show you. Right, give me your phone. So this is us in the ditch, and this is the fire truck. They were parked like there.
I'm in genuine amazement. I really am. Not only are they taking us through the entire thing, which, by the way, we've really already seen, you know, we don't really need to hear it again, but they are now taking us through it by using their phones as, yeah. I don't really know what to say about it. This is absolutely mind-blowing.
Now, instead of what I would have presumed they would have done is towed us out whilst someone steered pulled that way.
On the tow bar
on the back. They didn't want to do that. So what they did was they're on the opposite side of the road, probably about there. And then what they did was they got the winch from the front of their truck and they put it on the back tyre here. And then they tried to winch us and tried to pull the van out the snow like that. Without anybody sat in the front, like steering the wheel and with the handbrake on. I don't understand.
They just made a dodgy noise and they stopped doing it.
It made a loud noise and then they stopped, and I was like, what are they doing? It's not going to move sideways. Like, what? Again, maybe I need educating. Don't all slate me.
Oh, Sarah, you do need educating in so many different areas of life. Sorry, but it's true.
I don't think I know best. I just don't understand the logic in that. I don't understand it. That's all I'm saying. It didn't work. And that's when they came to us and said, okay, we're going to go now. We're going to go now because we can't help. But here's a number for a bigger tow that will hopefully be able to help you. By this point, it got dark. Now, like I just said, these roads are scary. And I was like, what? Chris was like, what, you're just going to go? Like, you're just going to leave us, like, with a baby? And they're like, yeah, because we can't help you. So Chris said, okay, what's the number that I need to call? So then the guy gave Chris the number and he said, how long will these take? And then the guy said, probably could be maybe 7 hours. So that's when you was like, 7 hours? Like, we've got petrol, we've got fuel and things, but I'm not sure, I'd have to leave the engine running for the whole 7 hours. Because to have lights on the van, because obviously it's pitch black there's no road lights or anything. If another truck comes around the corner, we've got a white van against white snow, they won't see us, they're going to go straight into the back of us. Obviously the back end of the van was slightly hanging out into the road as well, so it was quite possible that would happen. I'm gonna have to leave the engine running for 7 hours like that. I can't do that. And they were like, well, you know, I'm really sorry, there's nothing else we can do. So then I was like, can't you just, please, can you just try and attach it to the front of the van? What was it you were told?
There's a winch point on our van at the front, and they hadn't even thought about it, they hadn't tried it, so I was like, why don't you use the winch point at the front and drag it out? So they were
happy to try it. They did say they're not.
So fear not, guys. Just when they thought all was lost, just when you thought the family was in dire straits and danger and could be crushed at any moment and they were going to have to be left there for all eternity, Chris Ingham came and saved the day. He turned up on his little breakdown truck and he was there. He was ready to go, right, with his extensive knowledge of the garage industry.
Not sure if it'd work, but they were happy to try.
Yeah, so I had to show them where the winch point was, obviously, which I did.
Yeah.
And then they hooked up and they pulled it out.
And they hooked it up, and then they pulled it and took the handbrake. You took the handbrake off, didn't you? And then somebody sat in the front and turned the steering wheel so that the wheels were facing out, and it moved slightly. So then they were like, "Oh, this might work now."
Whatever would they have done without Chris, eh? You know? They've been doing this all wrong all these years. These people have been working there, saving people on the roadside. They've been doing it so wrong. They didn't think to employ Chris at the last minute to help. Could be his new calling, couldn't it, this one?
So then they have to adjust a few things, and then they dug the tyres out a little bit more at the back. And also, whilst we were there, I think that snowdrift that we avoided on our side of the road, I'm calling it a snowdrift, I haven't got a clue what it's called, but I think that was obviously quite new because they got in contact with a snowplow who turned up.
Yeah, came and got rid of it.
He turned up whilst we were still there. It was before it got. No, it was just getting dark when that turned up.
So this is the drift of the snow on the side of the road that I avoided and then crashed. So that because we came around the corner and there was all the snow on my side of the road. Whilst we were there, they had ordered a snowplow to come and clear the road.
And the snowplow came whilst we were there, and it cleared the road. And then the road was absolutely fine. But he did, and then he told us like I wouldn't advise you driving on tonight. I would seriously suggest you drive to this town that we've stopped at now. So I think I've got everything in there. Is that where we are now? This is where we are. We've narrowly avoided what could have been a very expensive. So then the RAC woman rang you back.
Yeah.
It was like, because then the man said he managed to find someone 3 hours away. And then the RAC rang you and said the same thing, found someone.
They basically what happened was the fireman gave me the tow truck guy's name, right? He's based in Rovaniemi, which is a long way away. Because in the background of all of this, the RAC were waiting to hear from the fire brigade about whether we needed a tow truck or not. And in the meantime, the RAC was searching for a potential tow truck to use. So the fireman gave me the tow truck man's name and number. I rang him, I got his WhatsApp, we started talking on WhatsApp, which was the procedure because he sends me a payment link, I pay him, he comes, right? But at the same time, the RAC rang me back and said, oh, we found this guy who's based in Rovaniemi, he can come, but the fire brigade have already put you in touch with him, I can see. So basically the RAC were just going to cover the cost instead of me paying for it. Anyway, obviously we cancelled that last minute because we didn't need that anymore. I feel so freaking lucky because not only are we all okay, but the van is fine. Like there's nothing wrong with it. There's not even a single mark on it anywhere. Like I said, the only thing I have to replace tomorrow is the registration plate on the front.
Yeah, get your priorities straight, Chris. Yeah. To be fair, he did mention the fact that everybody was okay, but then he went on a little rampage about how his van was perfect, there's no scratches on it, it looked good as new and everything. It was perfectly fine, wasn't it? Your baby's so fine, Chris.
Sticky bits that stick it on because then we had to pop it off to get to the tow bar bit. But other than that, the van is mint. Unfortunately, I think I don't know what's up with me. I'm getting like brain freeze or something like that. We need to give her a proper bath now though, because one side of it's clean from wiping down all in that snow, and one side of it's still black filthy. But feeling really lucky tonight that everything's all good.
It's really funny as well because he said the weather conditions, when Chris was saying like I'm so embarrassed I can't believe this has happened, you know, we drive literally all over the world. Before anyone starts with Chris can't drive or he's driving bad or he's driving dangerously, no, he's driven all over the world and been absolutely fine.
Well, let's just remember I did this trip last year in a van and we're all good.
Well, not really, Chris. This is the first time you've driven in those conditions in this particular van, right? It's a bigger van. It's a much bigger one, in actual fact, which will make it more difficult to drive than the little DPD van from last year. So your argument really doesn't stack up.
Just because you know what some people are like, they'll try and pick up that it was our fault somehow.
Okay, Sarah, so I want to give you a little bit of a lesson, I know. Right, so when you say people will try to make it seem like it's your fault, right? The thing is, they are taking what you yourself put out and going with it, right? Because yes, things might have not been your fault. You know, you might have not had any option but to slide off into the snowbank. You might not have done it on purpose or whatever, right? All those things are possibilities. However, when you titled the thing like, I crashed my van with my 6 kids in it, that kind of is Chris saying, yes, this is what happened. I know he'll say, oh, but it's clever marketing. But people take what you say at face value and run with that. You know, even your iFam do, because they come into your comments and they say, oh, I hope you were all okay, when in actual fact nothing was wrong with you because you know, you didn't really crash, you know. So they are taking what you tell people and going with it. If you want to tell people something differently and say, it's all okay, guys, we didn't really crash our van, that's fine. Tell people that. But if you tell people, yeah, we did this and this happened and we were really scared, and you have all the dramatic sound effects to make it sound more dramatic, and that you were calling the emergency services, but then turn around and say, we didn't call the emergency services. Well, why say that you did, right? Why say one thing and then backtrack later on and say, oh, people are going to say that it was our fault, or people are going to make it out as if this happened when it didn't happen, but you have already said it did happen. So I'm just saying, be truthful to people, and then they won't have an issue with what you're trying to do.
So he actually confirmed, which is really funny because that's what I'd thought as well, that it was the weather. When it starts to come to near spring here and the snow starts melting a little bit, then it turns to ice, and then it melts and it turns to ice, and it's just terrible, terrible roads.
Yeah.
Right, let's get some food. Watch, you ready? No, watch this. Watch how strong.
What you doing?
Watch this.
What are you for you doing?
How is she stood up?
You're not a big girl.
Stood up?
You only 4 months. You need to sit down.
Mum,
Sit down, you little dick. Like, she's holding herself up there, look, as well. I'm not even holding her hands. What? She's got strong stomach muscle, though. Like, when she's really strong.
So the last one had broken hips.
I know,
this one's got super hips.
I'm sorry, Chris. The last what? The last what had broken hips? The last one? The last baby? The other baby? I mean, that is it's quite detached from your actual child, calling them this one and that one. It's not really nice, you know. And then to say that she had broken hips, it's very cold and heartless, if you ask me. The last one had broken hips, right? Yeah, obviously didn't help with you putting her in a car seat for 9 months out of the year, you know. Possibly it might have helped if she'd been able to, you know, not be stuck in a car seat all that time. But yeah, just it's just another example of how you are constantly detached and you don't see your little humans as little humans. You see them as your possessions to use in your little shit show.
God. And Mila did never stood up. She never put weight on her legs when she was a baby. And I thought that was just normal. Maybe it was, I don't know. But Aurora's the total opposite. Like, she's standing up at every minute. Look at her. Look how small she is. What's she doing? Just stood there?
That is because she was still for like half a life, remember?
No, I mean Mila didn't stand up at like 3 months old. She never put weight on her legs.
Okay, so just before everybody goes to bed, stood on that awning light. It's well slippy out here tonight. So, I just wanted to show you, it's a bit windy, but I just wanted to show you basically this is where the van was in the snow. And actually, other than having like a proper good clean, like the snow's wiped all the dirt pretty much off of the bottom of the van at least. It's definitely polished the wheels out because they look brand new. But other than a good cleaning, there's absolutely zero damage anywhere. Nothing at all. Thank goodness. And I've had a good look underneath the whole van. The steps I was worried about at first because they were jammed with snow so bad, but they're still working good. And this wheel looks like it's been polished, like by a professional valeting company.
Notice the way he's going over every single part of his van, thanking the gods that his van is perfectly fine, and it just looks very clean now, and it's not got a scratch on it, and it's so amazing. But he's shown us every single little piece of detail. It's not very interesting, Chris. However, what it does say is that you're more interested and more glad that your van is not damaged rather than your own kids. You know, you haven't gone through all your kids and saying thank God Isabel's okay and thank God Esme's fine and Isla and Jace and Mila and Aurora, they're all fine, right? But you haven't even mentioned them, not even by name. You briefly mentioned them earlier, but nothing. The van though gets a complete look at.
And that was black this morning, so the snow's done a good job there. Only other thing was that my under neons, I was worried about them, but again, they're still working. They're all good. They've not ripped off or anything like that. The only thing that there is obviously there's a lot of snow packed into this step and it's frozen, so it's rock solid. So I'm not messing with that right now. Like, I can't even believe this didn't snap off. I was for sure that was going to be a goner, but nope. So the only thing that we had to do was remove the reg plate, because the reg plate was stuck on with sticky pads onto this. And behind here is where the toe attachment is. So we had to take that off to take the screws out to get to the toe attachment. So get some new sticky pads from the shop and that'll be back to normal. Hey presto. But other than that, absolutely nothing. Obviously a lot of snow, like in the headlights and stuff like here. But it's frozen on real bad, so I'm not touching that either. So a lot of snow in the front, but absolutely no damage anywhere. No scratches, no light scratches, nothing. And believe me, I know this van like head to toe. And I've inspected it head to toe. Obviously in the dark, but it's pretty well lit up here. And I can see nothing on the van anywhere, so very, very lucky all in all. Extremely lucky all in all, in fact. And just very grateful for the amazing emergency services that came out to us today and helped us.
No, Chris, don't be so modest, right? I'm sure the emergency services were glad that you came out to them, right? Because if it wasn't for you, they wouldn't have got your van out. Remember, you showed them the ways.
They were incredible and very funny as well. They were proper, like, you know, the type of guys that you really want to come to you when you have something like this go wrong. Their English was perfect. They were just extremely hilarious and fun and cool. So it was all in all stressful, but you know, I've got to say good experience, and I'm feeling super grateful tonight just for the fact that we can be here in Inari, which is where we are now, right at the top of Finland, and be sleeping in our van tonight and not in a hotel crying because the van's written off and we have to fly home.
Or indeed crying in a hotel room because one of your kids has died. That could have been an option as well, couldn't it, Chris? The van is just a van at the end of the day. It's just a thing, right? But your children, they are precious human beings and they deserve to be like treated as such rather than just thought of as, yeah, we can replace that. In fact, you probably do think that way, actually, given it, because you probably think that, yeah, we can churn out a kid or two, right? But vans, they cost like, how much that thing costs? 100 grand. But your kids, right, they don't cost much, just a little bit of wooing of Sarah.
So, which could definitely have been the case tonight. Anyway, thank you so much for watching this video. We're going to bed and I'm going to edit, and we'll see you tomorrow at 5 o'clock. We're back into Norway tomorrow on the last little leg of this trip as we start making our way home. But there's still lots to come, so make sure you stick around and we'll see you tomorrow. Good night, guys.
When you say there's still lots to come, Chris, you've literally just said you're going to be heading home soon, and yet we are still awaiting something actually happening. Apart from this is like the most exciting thing that's happened on your trip so far, and I think you know it, which is why you've dragged it out over a couple of days. The other thing to note, though, is the fact that this vlog was the same day cut into 2 vlogs, and they also missed out the Monday upload as well. So in the last 3 days, they've had 1 day worth of vlogging. So, you know, you figure that out, eh? Yeah. So I think there's some weird things going on, right? The whole thing, that particular vlog, was pointless, right? Absolutely pointless. Basically, it was just spent going over everything that had already gone, and if you hadn't realised, we'd already seen that because we watched it the vlog before, and yet they decided to just tag it on to, well, instead of tagging it on to the last vlog, they put it in a separate vlog for some reason. It was pointless. And then Chris waxing lyrical over how amazing his van is. You know, such a sturdy fellow, that van. It survived all sorts, right? Anyway, I hope you've enjoyed it. I don't know if I'll cover tomorrow's or today's, but I had to cover this second episode because, you know, need some sort of conclusion to it, didn't we, to see what had actually happened. So it was exciting, wasn't it? Until next time, please give this video a massive thumbs up, comment all of your thoughts about it down below, and subscribe to the channel if you are new. Until next time, have a brilliant day, take care, and bye-bye.